Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another Lazy Show where we teach you AutoCAD in a way that is more productive so you can stop wasting your time. As always, we show up here each Sunday at 10 a.m., and that is the time in Pennsylvania in the United States. So, we're gonna start today's presentation very soon. But first, I'd like to read some of your comments. Um, so let me see over here on the chat. We have a couple of comments that for some reason I'm not getting over here on my end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to go to YouTube and be able to read your comments there. All right. I'm very excited today, guys. We're gonna create an awesome dynamic blog today. Well, I'm gonna share with you how I created this blog for a client, right? So you can see again all the possibilities that we can have using dynamic blocks, right? So again, I'm not seeing the comments here on my end for some reason, but I'm gonna go to YouTube and read your comments. Kumar says, "Good morning, sir." Hey, Kumar, happy to have you here, my friend. So hope you are doing great, Kumar. Um, Also, Douglas Mikel is on the chat. Says hello, Irving, and hello all. Hi, Michael. Douglas. Happy to have you here as always, my friend. Hope you are doing great. Um, Douglas says missed last week. Did you have a good turnout last week? Yeah. So last week we created a macro command, Douglas. So it was open to everyone, right? It was again these live streams are open to everyone. Just the recordings are saved for our supporters. But yeah, we created a macro command last week, Douglas. We have also a Dix65 saying hello, I guess. At Dix65, welcome aboard. I believe you are new to these live streams. If that's the case, again, welcome aboard. We are here each Sunday at 10 a.m. with a new live stream. And we like to do this live because that's an awesome way to interact in real time, and you can ask your questions. We can go through the presentation, and you can always stop me at any time, right, with your questions. All right, so I'm gonna start getting ready over here to start. Again, for some reason, I'm not seeing your comments on my live stream provider. That's why I cannot show your comment on the screen, but I'm gonna read it anyway here straight from YouTube. All right, so let's start. Okay, let's see over here. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Tutorial. Share. And okay. Entire screen, and here we go. So everyone can see my screen now, right? Please confirm that so we can keep moving. Let's see. Okay. Wait a second over here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, let's see. Our friend Adix says, greeting from Poland. Hey, Adix, I don't know if that's your real name, but if hopefully it is. So yeah, I'm glad that people from Poland all the way over there are joining our live streams. We have people from all over the world. That's awesome that we can do these live streams and be able to, share some of our knowledge with you guys over there. Right, let's see over here. Okay, so we are ready to start. Okay. Let me see over here. I'm gonna test the microphone. Let's see. Okay, I think you guys are good. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start then. Everything looks good. The mic, the screen, I believe, even though again I'm seeing no comments on my end over here, but I can see your comment on YouTube, so that means things are going well. So we're gonna start then, guys. Okay. All right. Again, you can stop me at any time, at any moment with your questions. Okay, let's do this, guys. This is a walk-in display cooler that my client have to manually get sizes and number of doors. If we can somehow automate this process, my client will be very happy. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is okay. So give me 1 second, guys. Here. All right. So let's keep moving. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a block, of course, selecting all of my geometry right here, right, for my walk-in display cooler, like so. So again, all of my geometry, including doors, walls, and so on, and even the text. So once I do that, I'm gonna simply create a block using the B shortcut command. So I'm gonna create a block for the name, lazy walking cooler. That would be the name. Again, you can name it as you wish. But what I did over here is first, of course, open or check the opening block editor. So that way I can select my base point, which will be about here. And I will be immediately in my block editor. So I started adding some um, parameters and some actions over here to kind of automate again this process of getting sizes and number of doors over here. So the first thing I did is I removed all of these doors right here because again this block will have to work with any configuration and any size, right? So I started it with one door, and of course I stretched my geometry to match this configuration all the way about there. And of course, for the depth of the walk-in cooler, what I did is I picked a standard one. So in this case, I made this size or stretch this size to 8 feet. So from this point all the way up here will be again 8 feet. And of course, my text will have to be centered in my walk-in display cooler, like so. So once I have the correct geometry to start with this block, what I did next is I went ahead and start adding. So I think I'm gonna open a copy of this drawing so you can better follow along. So let me go over here and open a copy again of the same drawing just so you can see what we're doing here. So, okay. All right. So again, the first thing we did is we need a way to automatically or quickly adjust the size of our walk-in cooler, right? Because you can see you might have different configurations for the width as well as the depth. Um, so the way I did this is by implementing some linear parameters. So the first linear parameter I implemented was for the width, and I started it from this corner, of course, and all the way up over here and placed my first distance. One in this case, I renamed this to W for the width, and also I changed the number of grips to 1 so that way I can stretch or increase the size of my walk-in cooler in this direction. Now, I also added the same procedure for the depth of my walk-in cooler from this point all the way up here and like here. And again, doing the same steps, I renamed this to be depth, and also the number of grips, I set it to 1. So over here then, uh, what I needed again was a way to stretch or change the size. So the way I did it was adding an action, in this case the stretch action. So selecting my linear parameter for the width and selecting my associated point right here, and also my stretch frame, in this case all of this information from here all the way up here, and selecting my objects also, right? So I selected all of these objects all the way up here, and of course I deselected the door uh, because we don't want it to stretch or even touch this door. And then of course I pressed enter. Now the same procedure will need I needed to apply for the depth. So again, stretch, select my depth linear parameter, select my associated point, my frame to stretch, and my objects to be stretched. So I'll press enter, and then I did a quick test, right, to see how this block was working. So I did tested it from the ribbon, and I saw that indeed the stretch for the width as well as for the um, depth was updating. However, it was updated not in the way I wanted, which was my doors also needed to increment, right? So again, that was a problem, and the way I fixed this was going to my test block again, and over here again we needed a way to automatically add um, doors, right? So the way I did it was adding a array parameter. But first, let me go and jump to the chat to see what you think so far. Let's see if you have questions, if you are following along. If not, let me know on the chat. So we have a comment from Mohamed Kani says, hello. Hello, Mohamed. Let's see if I can. So welcome to our live streams. I think you are new to these live streams. If that's the case, welcome aboard. Again, we're here each Sunday at 10 a.m. So hope you are doing great. Okay, so let's see if you guys have questions so far. If not, we will proceed with the presentation. Okay. All right, so let's keep moving. All right. So, again, I needed a way to automatically add new doors to my walk-in cooler because again, uh, this will have to change, right? There would be different number of doors um, in each case, in each. Um, all right. So the way I did it was again adding an array action and selecting my parameter, of course, would be the width, and then selecting my objects, in this case, my door. So once I pressed enter, then AutoCAD asked me to select the distance, right? If I didn't know, I know my door is 36 inches, but if I didn't know that, I could simply select 2 points for my door, and AutoCAD immediately will know the size for my array. All right. So once I added this array action, of course, I tested the block to see how I was progressing. And when I stretched this, I saw that nothing was happening. As you can see, the door wasn't stretching or adding arrays at all. So then how I solved this, I went to the block editor again. And in this case, I went and the first thing I tried was selected my array option, and then went to my properties palette, right? So what I try is change the this linear parameter. Selecting it, I try to change the distance type instead of none to increment, or sorry, to let's see, yeah, to increment, and the distance increment would be the size of my door. Again, if I didn't know the size, I could go to the quick calculator and simply selected 2 points for my door size, and then of course apply that. So that was the first thing I tried, and of course I went back and tested my blog to see if there was any change, and again it wasn't working as I expected it. The array wasn't working. So what I did then is I went back to the block editor, and after testing and testing, what I did is I had to start again. And before I did the stretch, I needed to do the array. So then that's what I did. I removed the stretch action by right clicking on it and say delete. Um, so once I did that and tested again my array, it wasn't working again for some reason. So then again, this was a very tedious process trying to test things out. Um, so what I did is again start fresh, selected or delete everything, all of these actions and parameters, and again start fresh. So the way I did it is again adding the array parameter, selecting my linear parameter in this case, selecting my objects, in this case the door, of course, pressing enter the distance between columns, in this case would be uh, would be 36. That's the distance of my door, so I'll say 36 and pressed enter. So then okay, so the mistake that I was doing is again, to so you can learn from my mistake. The distance, the linear parameter distance that was 5 feet in this case was different than my door size. As you can see, let me go back to the test, to the block editor. My distance again was 5 feet for my linear parameter. You can see it right here, 5 feet, but my door was 3 feet. So that was a mismatch right there that I was doing wrong. So the way I try to fix it was um, selecting my let's see, my array, and in this case wait, let me see. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Oops, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So again, we're gonna continue to do this. We had some technical difficulties. Again, we're doing this live, um, but we're gonna again finish this up. All right, so let's do that then. Okay, so let's start fresh here. What I'm gonna do is instead of reusing, let's see, good mic is good. Okay, so again, instead of reusing this geometry, I'm gonna start fresh and I'm gonna draw a new geometry really quick. So I'm gonna draw a rectangle, a line over here, and an arc. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna erase all of my other geometry and delete it so we can start fresh. All right. So okay, so the first thing I did is again, I wanted it to add automatically new doors to this walk-in cooler. So the way I did it was first implementing a linear parameter uh, for my walk-in cooler, like so, and rename it, right, to keep things organized. This would be the width, and of course, I wanted to have only one grip, so I changed it to one. And I proceeded to add an action array, um, selecting the parameter, the width, and my objects, which were the door, and pressed enter. For the distance between columns, meaning the distance between doors would be 36 inches. So that's what I used. And I got this brand new array um, action. So before I did anything else, I went and tested the block to see if this was working properly. And I saw that um, the number of new doors were being added. That was good. However, the size of my walk-in box wasn't changing. So the way I solved that was by implementing a new action, the stretch action. So selecting the same parameter for the width and the associated point right here, I needed to select my frame for the stretch, and it was all the way up here. So for the objects, of course, I needed to select all of my geometry right here, but the door, like so, and pressed enter. So immediately I did a quick test again to see how things were working. And what I noticed was that I was getting new doors as well as stretching my walk-in cooler. But there was a small problem here. The distance for the number of doors comparing to the distance for the cooler weren't matching. So the way I solved this problem was by changing the linear parameter options right here for the distance type. So I set increment, and this way I could increment my overall distance every 36 inches. And this way, when I went back to test the block, I noticed that everything was kind of sync and working properly for the size of my walk-in cooler as well as the number of doors. So that was a good start, but my client also needed different depth sizes for the walk-in cooler. As you can see, this depth is larger than this other one. So the way I solved this was using the same um, procedure, adding a linear parameter, changing the name, changing the number of grips, implementing a stretch action, selecting that parameter and the associated point, also the frame for stretch, and my objects to be stretch. So once I did a quick test to see how everything was working, I noticed that it was working correctly. Um, However, the text over here wasn't being centered here on the block. Um, so I also saw that the grip for this stretch wasn't moving accordingly. So two issues that I had to resolve again: one, the text keeping center on the working box, and two, this grip keeping on the same position right about here. So the way I solved those two issues was, first, for the grip, I needed to include the grip on this stretch action. The way I did it was by saying modify selection set, pressing enter to accept the same frame, and then making sure to add option was selected, and selecting my grip and parameter like so. For the text, I needed a way again to center this text, and the way I did it was implementing a move action. So selecting the same parameter, the same associated grip, and selecting the object. Also, I needed to select my move action, and from the properties, instead of having a distance of 1, I'll have a distance of 0.5. And then when I went and checked to see how things were working, I noticed that my grip was working nicely this time. However, the text wasn't working yet as I wanted it. So then what I did is went back to the move option, uh, to the move option right here. Oops. Yeah. So right here, and simply set it to 1. Let's see how this works now. Nope. It's not working as expected. So let's see. So I'm gonna delete the move option, and let's see. Oops. So let's see over here. Okay. So the way I try to fix again the text keeping center with the walk-in cooler was including it on my stretch action by going to the modify selection, pressing enter to accept the existing frame, and then um, adding the text. So let's see. Okay. So again, I try to add a, an action, a move action to select the same. Hmm, let's see over here. So when we're trying to solve the okay. Okay. So the way I solved this was by removing the stretch, removing the text from the stretch action. So by going to the modify selection set, pressing enter and hit remove. So this way, when I selected my text and press enter, so now my text won't move if I did a quick test. So again, my text wasn't moving now because it wasn't associated with this 3 feet linear parameter increment. And now I could add a move action to my text. So the way I did it again was from the block authoring palette. Um, I needed a new linear parameter. Um, so the way I did it was again selecting over here and adding my distance like so. So this was only for moving the text. So I removed or changed number of grips to 1 and renamed this parameter. So text location, and that way I could go ahead and add a move action. So a move action selecting that parameter, the associated point, and the object, the text, of course, pressing enter, and did a quick test, see how this was working. And we had another problem here again because this let's see. Okay, so the way I solved this was first let's see, again we're doing all of this live, so bear with me. Over here we have some comments on the chat. Let me read those comments first before we proceed. uh, Again, we have some technical difficulties because I cannot see your comment or show your comment on my live stream provider, but I'm gonna try to read it from YouTube. We have Nazario is on the chat, says hashtag lazy. Hi Nazario. Masiach is in the chat also. Hi Masiach, says smart and giving so big value and commitment. Hey, thank you Masiach. um, we have also Douglas says remove text from a stretch action. Yeah, that's what I just did, Doug. Uh, Douglas says align to midpoint. That's another way to do it, my friend Duke. So yeah, so let's keep moving, guys. Let's try to wrap this up. Uh, this is again a challenging block, but we're doing all of this live, so that's the beauty of the live streams. All right, so let's keep moving. Okay, So we removed the text from this action. I forgot how this was behaving, so I'm gonna test it again. um, so the text is moving. Uh, okay. So okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is okay. So I'm gonna include I'm gonna modify selection set and press enter to accept that. And I'm gonna include the new linear parameter on this stretch by selecting this one, by selecting it, and of course pressing enter. So let's do a quick test. Again, we're troubleshooting this live. Okay. We have a couple of comments on the chat. Let's see. That's a good question, Douglas. Douglas says, Irving, is there a limit on how many actions you can have to a single dynamic block? That's a good question, Douglas. Limits. I added it before, probably like 10 actions and never had any problem. But that's a good question. I might get to you later on that question, Duke. I don't know if there's limits. So we have another comment. As Hawk says, hello, Ashok. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right. um, so, so yeah. Um, okay, so we're gonna keep moving, guys. So we're gonna keep moving, and to let's say tutorial. Okay. So to keep moving, guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my we need to keep moving right here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my text position right about there. So let's see, because we gotta keep moving. So yeah. So again, I'm gonna keep my text position right there for now. So let's keep moving, guys. All right. So all right. Let's see. Okay. So let's do a quick test. So the stretch for the width was working as well as for the depth. And we were also adding new doors, which was nice. But my client also needed a way to input or show the width and the depth dimensions for the walk-in box. So the way I did this was by implementing a field. So a field is simply a smart piece of text. So the way I did it was get inside my text right here and selected this text. Of course, I did right clicked and say inserted or insert field. So over here, I needed a way to select the objects. So object and select this icon right here to select the width, right? The width for this walk-in cooler, because the width goes first always. I selected this line over here Um, and then the option that I needed was the length, and the units was architectural because I'm using imperial in the US. So that was 5 feet, and then I clicked OK. So once I did that, I did the same procedure for the depth. Right click, insert field, objects, select object, and in this case would be this line over here for the depth, length, architectural, and hit OK. So once I did that, I also needed a way to count the number of doors on my walk-in cooler, as you can see right here. So the way I implemented this, or kind of automated this, was by implementing another field. So I went and selected this text for the number of doors, say insert field, and in this case, what I did was I used a simple formula by using the formula options, and right here I needed a way to select my width of my walk-in cooler, right? The walk-in cooler width, a way to access that was by right-clicking and inserting a field, and this way I had the option to select objects. And of course the object for the width would be this line right here. So I selected the line, and the type that I needed was of course the length, right? So the length, and the units would be decimal in this case. So I clicked OK, and then over here I needed, in order to get the number of doors, I needed to divide this number. So divided by the length of my door, right, which was 36, if you remember. Now, the problem with this was, let me click OK for now, and hit OK. So the problem with this was, first, the I wanted a random to round this number. So to solve that, I went ahead and um, over here had decimal, of course, and I will have a precision over here. So if I pick the first one, that will round the number, and of course when I clicked OK, that says 2 doors, but that's not right. We know that's not right because we only have 1 door. And the reason why this was happening is because in reality, the array is using a distance over here of 5 feet, and we know our door was 3 feet. So the way I solved this was, I needed to know the distance of these two sides of my walk-in cooler, in this case 1 foot, and also 1 foot over here. That will make 2 feet. So knowing that, I went back to my number of doors field and double click on it. And over here, before I divided by 36, which was my door size, I went ahead and do a minus 24 because that was in inches 2 feet. And when I did that and clicked OK, you can see that now we have the real number of doors. So we have one, that's correct, but now we needed to do a test, right? And the way I did the test in this case was going and saving this block, um, and this way, when I went and placed my um, block right here, or my walking block. I'm gonna erase, of course, all of this. um, so I'm gonna place that walking box over here like so, and then of course I could stretch it accordingly, in this side as well as on the depth of my walking box. And then um, if I want to get the sizes, I could quickly regenerate this, and you can see that now we're getting exactly the size of our walking box, in this case a 20 feet by 17 and 10, and we have six, 6 doors right here. So that means I could quickly, or my client could quickly now place his walking coolers like so, and of course remove um, his old walking cooler because he doesn't need that anymore. Right? And then he can quickly again um, arrange his block as needed, and he wouldn't have to count or um, get sizes again. 12 doors, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12, right? So again, that's how I try to automate it, my client's life with this walking cooler box. So now let me go to the chat, see what do you think. You have any questions so far? um, so let me go ahead and jump to the chat before we wrap up today's presentation. um, all right, let's see if you have comments, questions. um, Again, to this was, not a complex block, but the reason why I was getting some difficulties was because this geometry that I use, I previously used it before for an array, and AutoCAD somehow doesn't like to reuse the same geometry, right? That's why I had to create a new door for this block, so that way the array could work as expected. But let me know in the chat, what do you think? Again, we did all of this live, and the good thing is that we got it to work, right? We got it to work. Again, we solved all of the difficulties. Let's see over here, other than getting cluttered. So let's see if we have some comments so far before we wrap up today's presentation. Uh, let's see. Our friend Douglas says, yeah, Douglas, I cannot show your I cannot show any of the comments. I don't know why. But you say the text can be aligned with the midpoint long of long wall within the move action. Yeah, Doug. I mean, I have that aligned. Let me show you. Let me show you really quick. Let me open so you can see better. All right. So this is the blog I'm gonna share with our Patreon supporters, or but you can see over here, Duke, that indeed the text is aligning, or not aligning, but keeping center with the block, as you can see right here. So yeah, so again, Duke, my friend, thank you for trying to help. But that again is one of the difficulties of doing this live, right? But you can see over here that everything is working perfectly, as expected, right? Um, Let's see. Let me reset this so I can share it with you guys, with our Patreon supporters. So let me see. Our friend. All right. So if there are no comments or questions, I guess we're gonna stop right here. Again, we had some technical difficulties today. We cannot share any of your comments on the screen, but at least I can read it. Um, okay. All right. So if there are no more questions or comments, um, so we're gonna stop right here, and we're gonna start thinking on our next topic for the live stream. Our friend Douglas says, "I don't draw meat coolers, but the idea is handy for sure." Yeah, I mean, dude, you had to think about this, right? You can implement the same techniques for your specific work, right? If you don't use cooler boxes, that's all right. But you might use something else. I don't know, freezers. I don't know. But the idea is that you don't have to count manually the number of items, right? With this technique, you can automate that process and let AutoCAD count the number of items in whatever you're using, right? In this case, it's cooler box, but it can be anything. Um, so our friend Douglas says, absolutely. Yeah, Duke. So if you again find a good use, let me know. Always on the chat. That's very interesting to know how you guys are implementing the techniques that we're sharing. Again, that would be awesome to know, Duke. If you let us know, maybe you need to count something, right? We always need to count things. uh, but yeah. All right, guys. So I guess I'm gonna stop right here. Sucks that I cannot show your comments on the screen, but hopefully I can get this resolved. All right, so I'm gonna stop right here and hope you got a wonderful rest of the day, my friend. See you here next Sunday. All right.